Thanks for taking a few minutes to review this short presentation. In this video, I'll review some of the highlights regarding the environmental analysis, gap analysis, and cause analysis that you'll be studying in Module 2. Overall, everyone has been doing a great job in the course. The majority of the class did a great job with the reading guides in Module 1. The guides aren't designed to be any kind of gotcha assignment, and as you could soon realize, most of the answers could be drawn directly from our text. The questions are also presented in the order in which the information appears in the book. Therefore, it should be no surprise that everyone scored a B or higher, with most folks having earned a high A. My initial reviews and grading of your Module 1 discussions, including the papers and presentations, are also looking very promising. On this slide, I have highlighted in light blue our current progress through the HPT process. As shown here, the performance analysis of need or opportunity section of the process includes 4 analyses. The first is the organizational analysis, which you studied and practiced in Module 1. In this module, we're tackling the remaining 3 analyses: environmental, gap, and cause. Let's take a few minutes to touch on some of the most critical points that Van Tiem and her associates raise in the text about each of these analyses. As defined on page 145 in our text, environmental analysis is a process used to identify and prioritize the realities that support actual performance. It's important to try and remain as objective as possible when completing your practice analysis for the Module 2 discussion, especially if the organization that you have selected to study in this class is your actual work environment. As I note on this slide, it's easy to begin seeing and focusing on possible problems as you analyze your organization's environment. However, you need to remain objectively focused on documenting what is happening in the organization without judging it as good or bad at this point. In the environmental analysis, we need to examine 4 critical elements associated with the organization. First is what Van Tiem and her colleagues refer to as the world component. Although the text speaks especially about how the organization is culturally aware and contributes to the greater good, you should also carefully consider in this portion of your analysis how the world, such as the community, city, state, country, and the global environment in which the organization functions, impacts its operation. The remaining 3 components, workplace, work, and workers, are a bit easier to understand. However, you need to examine your organization in sufficient detail in each of these components if you hope to accurately assess gaps and develop an appropriate solution to your problems. By this point in the course, I would hope that you are well familiar with the design and features of our textbook. Throughout the text, Van Tiem and her associates provide some extremely helpful performance support tools. One of the best of these is found on pages 151 through 154 in the book and is called Performance Support Tool 6.1, What is Happening? In that tool, you'll find sample questions to guide your own environmental analysis for the Module 2 discussion paper or presentation. Among the shortest chapters in the text, Chapter 7 manages to pack some critical information into a few pages. Its focus is on helping you to define the specific performance gaps within your organization. Note that the gaps that you identify may or may not align with what you originally proposed as your organization's problems. Either way, it's okay. HPT projects are often started to solve problems that, upon closer and more objective investigation, don't accurately describe the organization's challenges. Let the information that you gather determine the gaps that you identify. This is data-driven decision-making in action. As shown on this slide and in Figure 7.1 on page 155 in the text, the performance gap is the reasonable goal that exists between what is in your organization and what should be. As outlined on page 158 in Chapter 7, the steps for completing a gap analysis are fairly simple. First, you need to articulate what is actual performance and what should be desired performance in your organization on tasks and outcomes that are critical to success. Then Using Rothwell's 6-cell gap analysis, shown in Figure 7.4 on page 157 in the text, or a similar system, categorize your performance gaps, most of which are likely to be what Rothwell refers to as present negative gaps. Finally, you would work with your stakeholders to prioritize your identified gaps in their order of criticality to the organization's success. Once these steps have been completed and documented, you can then proceed to your cause analysis. On this screen, I have recreated Figure 8.1, Performance Improvement HPT Model Cause Analysis Component, from page 163 in the text. The table does a nice job of simplifying the tremendous amount of information discussed in Chapter 8 of the text. This chapter can be both one of the most interesting and one of the most challenging in your HPT sample project. You will need to consider all possible causes, also known as drivers, of the performance gaps that you identified in the gap analysis without letting yourself get too bogged down in the details. You will need to examine causes that may be caused by factors within the organization, also known as environmental factors, and those that are solely a function of the employees in the organization. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you know the single cause of each of your organization's gaps. Assumptions are your enemy in the cause analysis. For each gap, open your mind to the very likely concept that there are multiple drivers from several categories that are causing each gap. In order to ultimately select the correct interventions to solve your organization's problems, you must consider all potential causes at this stage of your practice project. As recommended previously in this lecture, use the tables and performance support tools in Chapter 8 to help focus your thoughts in the cause analysis stage. Performance Tools 8.1 and 8.2 are especially helpful, especially for those who are new to HPT projects. To get a better idea about how these analyses come together in a report to your organization's stakeholders, take some time to review the sample paper that I have created. It is posted with the resources in the detailed information about the Module 2 discussion. To locate the sample paper, go to the Module 2 folder and scroll to the bottom. There you should find the Module 2 discussion information, which will include a link to the sample paper. My sample paper is much longer than I expect in your work. I made it long so that I could provide a range of sample information and reporting techniques. You can also find the template file for the second paper and another video with the discussion information. As always, please send me any questions that you may have about the readings or assignments in the class. You can reach me from within Blackboard via either the course messages or email link on the course menu. Although you are welcome to email me directly at my UHCL email address, contacting me from within Blackboard is often the quickest option. Good luck in Module 2.